Hey, what's up, Wrestling with Tragedy family? This is the Kingpin. Um, just wanted to say it's with a heavy heart that we lost a great athlete known as former ROH champion Xavier. Besides who his accolades as a pro wrestler, he was my friend. I knew him for years, and I'm still kind of in shock. And we want to send out our condolences to his family, his son, and anybody who was close to him, from homicide to low key. You know, he was a good dude, and I'm gonna miss him. Even though I didn't talk to him all the time, he was my friend, and he was not just Xavier ROH champion. He was a hell of a wrestler. He was a great person, but he was a funny guy, and he was caring. Xavier, this show is dedicated to you. You'd be greatly missed. And on with the show.
What is going on, Wrestling with Tragedy? We are here with episode number 20. Guys, that is ridiculous. We're already at 20 episodes.
20!
Before we get started, Angel, as your broadcast partner, as your friend, and at this point, almost like your family, I want to say I'm sorry for your loss, man. I truly am.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate it, man. I mean, it's just, that's the thing about the wrestling business that is just heartbreaking. You know, your friends just die. You don't know who's next. I wish it was DeVito, but that's a different story.
But Angel, we spoke the other day, and yeah. You know that I have the same sentiments as Kevin. That we're very sorry for your loss, and but we love you, brother, and here for you. you did the intro, but no, absolutely.
But that's the sad part, man. He was healthy, he was fit. Again, I don't know what happened. You know, I mean, that's just, it shows that there's only two things certain in life: is the beginning of your life, the day you were born, and the day you die, and is whatever you feel in between that counts. And that's why I think, that set my eyes. It opened my eyes in regards to, this is what I want to do, because I don't know if tomorrow I'm going to die, and hopefully you guys continue the show, which I don't think I'm going to die, but but it's just, life's too short, man. And that's why I hug my daughter, and I have good friends like you. And I just want to push forward and just make something of myself. You know what I mean? Leave a stamp in my life in this world. So hopefully this Wrestling with Tragedy will just propel my hopes and dreams and stuff. So
absolutely, man. I mean, we've come pretty far in 20 episodes. So gentlemen, here's to the first 20 and to 20 more.
Cheers, brothers.
Cheers.
Well, that being said, guys, as most of our viewers know, Wrestling with Tragedy is pre-recorded. So as of the taping of this episode, we're going to be talking about Sonya Deville and what happened with her in this past week. But before we do, guys, I just want to take a quick second to plug our sponsors. First of which being A-Rock Designs. A-Rock Designs is a custom business who made not only this awesome Darby Allin Cup, but they also made Pierce's CM Punk Cup. And I'm sure Angel's going to have one in the very near future.
I got a Dunkin' cup.
Looking at getting some Wrestling with Tragedy merch made. But until then, guys, make sure you go to A-Rock Designs on Facebook and hit up Ashley Rodriguez to place all of your custom orders. We can do hats, shirts, keychains, hoodies. The number one sellers are the cups, guys. But if you want any merchandise, wrestling or non-wrestling related, make sure you hit up A-Rock Designs, and we can take care of that for you right away. One other thing, guys, I have to type it in just here. I'm slacking a little bit right now. It's pretty early.
So just while Kevin's doing that, I just wanted to send a special thank out to the Cicadas band for providing that awesome soundtrack music clip that is in the intro to our song. It is called Restricted. They do an amazing work as a band. They're absolutely fantastic, and we definitely thank them for their support throughout the show. Kevin?
Cool. I appreciate it, guys. For some reason, my computer froze, but our last sponsor is going to be Wasef Championship Belts, guys. If you go to Wasef Championship Belts, if you go to Wasef Championship Belts on Facebook, you can speak to myself or peers directly. If you have any need to add to or even start a belt collection, whether it be a custom championship or a standard replica, let us know, and we can get you any championship you would like at a very affordable price, and payment plans are available, guys. The payment plans go as $100 down as a down payment. After that, you can pay as little as you need to, as often as you need to, until the belt's paid off. And once the belt is paid off, it is on its way to you. So thank you to Cicadas, thank you to A-Rock Designs, and thank you to WASF Championship Belts. Well, that's what's up. That's what's up. With that being said, guys, we hear this a lot in the news with celebrities. You have somebody sitting at home watching TV every day, and for some whatever reason, a certain person might feel like that celebrity, while they're reading off the line to their movie, while they're shooting their promo in pro wrestling, whatever the case may be, is directly talking to them, and they develop this one-sided connection with that person, and they honestly believe they're in a relationship with that person. Angel, I know you've seen it as a police officer. I still see it. It is what it is. It happens all the time, and this is the exact case with what happened to Sonya Deville. Before we jump into the details of it, is there anything you guys want to start out with as far as, this case and how things went? The only thing I'm going to say is it's a good thing Sonya didn't have a gun, because that is grounds to shoot somebody.
Man, she could have poked him with that nose of hers, bro. Like, peck, like a bird. Peck. Because dude, I don't know, man. That dude is crazy, because even though she's lesbian and stuff, the bitch is ugly. The bitch is fucking ugly. But to be honest with you, seriously, though, I mean, in the wrestling business, regardless of where your status is, if you're a curtain jerker, mid-card, or main eventer, you have to make sure that your residence is secure, because, again, you don't know the effect you have on other people outside. Just because you don't think you're Stone Cold or The Rock, people have an infatuation with all celebrities. So there's something that you did.
Except Angel.
Yeah, I don't have nobody. I have dogs coming to my house hollering out my window. But that's the thing, is that it's nothing against her. It's just that you can't put yourself less, because you don't know who's going to be coming through your door, and you got to protect your family. And she's making enough money to have a secure. I mean, I think she had a security system, but she needs the top of the line. But she needs a better top of the line. Make sure all the all the doors and windows are closed solid.
The police got there pretty damn quick. You know what I mean? Like, but before we get into that, I just want to sort of mention a little bit of information about the perpetrator. So his name is Philip Thomas, a 24-year-old who was a suspect perpetrator. He was caught red-handed in the residence. So I think
he's on video camera.
Yeah, he's fucked on all levels. But he had allegedly been planning to take Deville hostage for more than 8 months. So, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office said in a news release that he had stalked her on social media for years, the release said. So the first question I have, if someone has stalked you on social media, and I'm going to throw this question out to both of you, essentially, because Angel, you're a former police officer. Kevin, you're a current law enforcement officer. If someone has been stalking someone on current, sorry, I didn't say
no, that wasn't to you. That was to people who may be watching the show.
I question that.
Present, did I? Yeah, present is another word for current. So I apologize for my Aussie.
No, Piers, it was a shot at somebody else, not you.
My apologies.
Australia they're not on it quick, Kevin, man. You gotta.
Anyway, moving. Let me ask you this question. If someone is stalking someone on social media, would that be grounds for a restraining order?
Yeah, no. There is a protection from stalking order, but you have to have here in Kansas.
But here's the thing. This is why I say no. Angel, as I'm sure you know, cell phone, social media, stuff like that is not admissible in court. No. It can be used as, it can be brought into evidence. But here's the thing. Let's say I develop the same kind of feelings for another WWE superstar, let's just say Mandy Rose, and I'm stalking her on social media, but I have Piers's login and password, and I'm stalking her from Piers's social media. Piers, it's not you, but it's your social media account. That is why I say no. It is very hard to prove. You can prove whose profile it is. You can prove whose phone number it is. It's very hard to prove who was on the other end of that phone. Just because it comes from your account doesn't mean it's you.
Yeah, but with technology, dream.
but with technology these days,
we're definitely doing an episode 2 on Velveteen Dream because of that.
Yeah, we definitely are. But I just wanted to ask, right? But wouldn't they be able to track it down to the device? I mean, technology has become so advanced in the last 10, 15 years.
Piers,
couldn't they track it?
Piers, hey man, my cell phone died. Can I hold yours?
Fuck off.
Do you see what I just did there?
Yeah.
Now can I go back?
Who's going to turn around and say, "Oh yeah, sure, man, here"?
Just because your IP address pings at a certain location doesn't mean that it's you. It just says that that's where it came from.
Yeah. You know. Rerouters and shit.
Now the funny thing is that the suspect, his name is Philip Thomas, which the second, and he drove from South Carolina. I mean, he's from South Carolina and drove to Lutz, Florida. That's
insane.
Yeah, it is insane. I mean, I don't know how many hours.
How many hours?
I'm sorry. What'd you say, Kevin? I'm sorry. I was talking.
Oh no, I said clearly premeditation.
Yeah, I mean, so he drove all the way, and then she lived in a subdivision called the Promenade at Lake Park subdivision. So I didn't know if there's the security gate or anything that he was able to get past. Again, I don't know how that facility is, but I mean, yeah, he drove all the way from South Carolina to Lutz, Florida, which I'm going to look up the distance just to see.
Well, I know the area where Sonya lives is about 3.5 hours from me, maybe closer to 4. And South Carolina is about 2.5 hours from me. So depending on where he lived, he could be looking at anywhere from 8 to 6 hour drive.
Well, the sheriff's office said that Thomas drove from South Carolina to the community of Lutz, north of Tampa, and parked his car at a church nearby, and then he cut into the home through the patio screen and waited for the homeowner and the guest, which is Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, as we've later learned to find out, had gone to bed.
Okay, sorry, Pierce, but the distance from I-195 is 7 hours and 30 minutes. And then, like Kevin said, it depends on where he's at in South Carolina, but the distance is 7 hours and 30 minutes. That motherfucker was driving like.
So guys, let's go and lay out just a couple of facts. Okay, so Sonya Deville, as we know, Sonya Deville was a mixed martial art fighter before she was ever in WWE. Mm-hmm. She was at home entertaining some guests. They were watching the MMA fights that night. And Sonya Deville receives a message on her phone. Now, like we previously stated, it's been proven that he was stalking her for a number of years, not months, not days, not weeks, a number of years, to the point he had all of this planned out. He sends her a message on her phone and says, "Hey, baby, I'm on your back porch, and I'm going to kill that bitch that's with you." Exact message. I went back and I watched the court interview where they had his bond hearing. His bond was denied by a judge. He's going to be held in the correction facility until his trial. But the message that's
okay.
So Kevin's just
man, I'm on your back porch, your patio, and I'm going to kill that bitch that's with you. At this time, Sonya Deville, it shows on her in-home camera that she went and checked the back porch. There is no audio to the camera, but Sonya said that she saw him and she said, "What are you doing here? What do you want?" She turned around and walked back into the home, leaving the door open. Not having a gun, which, as you both know, I have plenty of. So I kind of wish it would have been my house, but I'm not that level of celebrity. But anyway, I digress. After Sonya retreats into the house, approximately 7 to 8 seconds later, you see the suspect walk into the home behind her, and that's where the video cuts off. But the silent alarm was tripped. The police did have a very fast response time, and the suspect was apprehended with, I'm just looking at it right here,
Yeah, it says a knife.
Pepper spray, duct tape, knife, and zip ties. And I just want to go and throw this out there. Angel, you know this from personal experience as well as I do.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the thing. Is just that, if you walked in the house with a knife, plastic zip ties, duct tape, and mace, that is something that you need to. I mean, you're there to do some serious harm, and that's the scary part. I mean, Pierce. I mean, I was gonna say in Canada, in Australia, if you break into somebody's residence, I mean, it's probably the same thing. I mean, when you get caught with a knife, plastic zip ties, and duct tape and mace, what are the legal? What is it? Like, what do they charge you with over there?
Well, they would charge you with break and enter, unlawful entry into someone's residence. They'd also possibly be looking at past crimes as well. So if they'd been known to do this in the past, if they'd had any aggressive crimes in the past, or been charged for any aggressive crimes in the past, it would come down to a number of things. But something like that, the police would have enough evidence to then put that person away for a little while.
Yeah, the one thing I don't understand is that in regards to the situation is that if he sent her a text message saying, like, hey, I'm on your porch and I'm gonna kill that bitch right next to you, and you walk outside without a gun or a fireplace poker in your hand, and you go outside and you don't see nobody, and then you walk back in and leave and again, it's not her fault. It's just my thought process. I'm gonna lock this.
No,
bitch.
She walked out and saw him and had a conversation with him, and then walked back in and left the door open.
It wasn't really.
I mean, that's the main thing. Like, we have to look at it from, like, and also how far, like, how quick did he come in? Like, did she walk away? Did she run away? Did she look panicked? Did she look like she knew him? Could this be, I don't know, like, could there be more to it than what is actually being presented to us right here? I mean, we're seeing what we're seeing, but, is it a classic stalker situation, or do you think there could be more to it, Angel?
But see, no, he's just batshit crazy, and there's more to it. But the thing is that you said, okay, back to what I was saying before. I'm sorry, but you said that he was already out there and she spoke to him. What I read, I didn't see that she spoke to him. I thought she just went out and didn't see him. So no, that's what I thought.
Was saying that she went out, couldn't see him, then did see him, had a conversation with him, then went back inside the house, said, you can't be here, you need to get the fuck out or whatever, and then she left the door open and walked back inside. Like, to me, you get a text message from someone saying, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to get you and kill the bitch that you there, like, and I'm at your back porch. What the fuck? Like, dude, like, that's some crazy ass shit. Like, that's, like, terrifying, man. Like, that's the stuff that horror movies are made of, bro. Like, I definitely feel for the ladies here, man. Like, that's some scary ass shit to go through. And like, here in Australia, not many people have guns, man. And I know in America, it's like every home, it's like, if you're going to try and break into someone's house, you're like playing Russian roulette with your life, essentially.
I bet in Australia, it's like in the movie Suicide Squad, the guy with the boomerang sheets come out, stay off my porch.
Mate, get the fuck out of here, fucking asshole.
No, but seriously,
Kevin's not here to ref us at the moment, but, like, that's the thing. Like, I look at it from a standpoint of how does it that this guy has been able to get into her house and all of this, have a conversation with her for a couple of seconds, her walk away. Like, does she run away? Does she walk away, leave the door open? Like, where does she go from there?
Well, first of all, the person. I mean, if you see him, I'm just visualizing it. The guy was
video. She was in. It didn't really look like she was in a rush to get away. She very casually walked from the door across the screen. It's a very narrow shot from her home security camera. You could see, like, her kitchen sink. You could see the door, and you could see a few feet past it. But she walked very briskly past.
Instead of, like, this, is it possible we could bring that footage up on screen so we could show the fans, can we do that? Or if we have that capability?
Yeah. Let me go ahead and give it a shot.
It'd just be easier just to talk
about it. Kevin, you guys continue the episode, and I'll see if I can find it.
So Kevin, that's what I was just asking Angel, is like the fact that if she just turned around and walked away, right? If someone had sent you a message saying, I'm gonna fucking kill you and the bitch that you're with, would you really just walk away and leave the door open? Like, could there be more to it? Like, they're saying that she's never met him before, but could there have been some sort of history between the two where, look, we all know that she's a lesbian, but you know, could she have played for another side of the team, and this could be
I think
lover?
Okay, Pierce, remember that story you told me about the guy in the bar, and he was an Aborigine, he was real tiny, and he's like, hey, motherfucker, and whatever Australian lingo he talks, and he's like, I'm gonna whoop your ass, and this guy's like, are you serious, you little motherfucker? You know, like, I bet you, since she's an MMA fighter, and she looked at the guy, and again, I'm just speculating, because if somebody like that came up to me, I'm like, whatever, dude, kick rocks, get off my porch before I beat your ass. You know, I bet you the intimidation factor and the threat, she didn't think of that as a high threat. Mentally, maybe, like, she's like, this fucker can't lace my boots, you know, so just get off my porch before I kick your ass. I just think that's probably what it was. And then she went back in, like, closing the door behind her, like, without any care in the world. And could be
so she underestimated him. She underestimated him, essentially.
You can't underestimate anybody. I mean, from the fattest to the shortest to the skinniest person in the world could be a threat. And you never know. I mean, from Charles Manson to, you know, people, Ted Bundy, who was the most charismatic person, and, you know, sounded like he was not a threat at all. He was a serial killer. So I'm just saying, like, you have to take everybody serious and every threat serious, because you don't know what they have in mind, what they have planned, what they're going to do to you. You don't even know what's on their person to afflict you harm. So,
but that's the thing. You talk about serial killers, and I hate to deviate off topic, but I just want to have this thought, and I wanted to share it with you and just get your both of you guys' feedback on this. If someone is a serial killer, right? They're a psychopath, they're a murderer. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously, if they project that sort of a violent, aggressive side, it's essentially going to scare them off. Like, mentally, like psychopaths and serial killers and murderers, more people that you see which have this more friendly presence to them, so they try and gain people's trust that way, so they get close to people. Is that something they do, or is just like it all differs?
I mean, it just depends on the person. I mean, with BTK's situation, he stalked his victims for a very long time and watched their patterns and watched their movements and see who was coming in and out of the house to plan a home invasion or do harm to that individual. Ted Bundy, he was charismatic, so he was kind of working angles on these females and then springing on them. John Wayne Gacy was, you know, using people that he worked with, like young boys that he worked with, and say, hey, why don't you come over, hang out with me? And they did hey, let me show you a magic trick with these fake cuffs, and, you know, put the cuffs on and then take the cuffs off and have them put on, and then unfortunately they couldn't get on and said, well, those cuffs are real, fool, and then kill them. So it's just, I mean, it's just a pattern. I'm not saying every serial killer has their own thought pattern, but not all of them are the same. They just have a different, you know, planning of what they want to do, or they're just sick.
Yeah, it's
all right, guys. So what I found was I was able to find her courtroom testimony. And this particular video is owned by ABC News, so it is public knowledge. We can go ahead and share it. I don't know if the footage from her home security camera is on here, but the last time I watched the security footage, it was attached to the court video. So it may be on here, it may not be on here. This is going to be about 1 minute and 50 seconds long. So I will go ahead and share the screen, and we'll go ahead and watch her courtroom testimony, and we'll talk about it once it's done.
Yeah. Man, look at that dude. Oh, that's Pierce.
All right, can you guys see that?
Can you make it big screen if possible? Yeah.
All right, so here we go.
Look at her body language. Like she looks very, very uncomfortable. Like really, like she's really just. You can see that she's distraught.
God, she's fucking ugly.
Dude. So it is a gated community.
Yeah, it is a gated community. Yeah. Kevin, look at is that Pierce?
He's got more hair than me, brother.
So he must have climbed the fence or something.
But wouldn't they have security there, like at a gatehouse or some shit, like in that sort of community?
Hold on, guys. Let's listen to this really quick.
Well, I can't hear the volume.
Yeah, she's, dude.
Okay.
Armed kidnapping, Jesus. Look at the dude. Like, she obviously didn't think he was a threat. But you know, when he comes to your house with a fucking knife, mace, and fucking, and what was it, handcuffs?
Yeah, I mean, on my end, I can't hear the video. So
I've seen the video, and for me, my heart really goes out to Sonya, because like I could not imagine what the feeling of this would be. And as I said earlier, it's like a human horror story that this woman's just lived. Her and Mandy Rose, like, guys, like that's some fucking crazy ass shit. And you know, like I said, my heart really goes out to those ladies, and the fact that, you know, I don't want to skip ahead here, but the fact they were able to go on and wrestle, that's crazy.
So unfortunately, I was not able. Yeah, I wasn't able to.
Angel wasn't able to hear the complete audio. So basically, what Sonya said was that around 3 a.m. she got the message. She went and checked. Mandy Rose was in the house with her, another WWE superstar. Whenever she said that he was standing on the patio with black clothes and a black mask.
Okay.
She said around and went back into the house. She woke up Mandy Rose. She said, "Somebody's here. We got to go. We got to go. We got to go." They got into Mandy's car. She did not realize her foot was on the gas, not the brake, which in a state of panic, I can understand that. So the car wouldn't start. They finally got the car to start, and they left. And then he was apprehended later by the sheriff's department with zip ties, duct tape, a knife, and pepper spray. And like I was saying earlier, before my feed cut out, Angel, you know from experience as well as I do, I don't care how tough you are, pepper spray sucks.
Oh yeah, definitely. Now, quick question. So with Mandy Rose, is she gonna? I mean, of course they're gonna call her in to testify.
She's got to be a character witness.
Yeah. So how is WWE? Sorry, is gonna work her? You know, is she gonna be on hiatus for a minute?
So we recently had a match at SummerSlam that was originally scheduled to be a hair versus hair match, which Mandy Rose was going to go over. Sonya Deville made it very public she wanted to get a haircut, and they were going to work that into a storyline. After all of this happened, that changed from a hair versus hair match to a no disqualification, loser leaves WWE match. It was later revealed that the change was made because Sonya Deville was going to be, Angel, as you know, tied up in court, having to go to court, having to stay in touch with the sheriff's office. She was going to need to be relatively accessible and on a wrestler's traveling schedule, which, as we saw with this last pay-per-view at SummerSlam, they are starting to travel again, going to different arenas, going to different locations. And if she is in Newark, New Jersey, and she's needed in Florida, it's going to be a very big conflict of interest, not conflict of interest, but it's going to collide with what they need. So in order for her to get the justice she needs and to make this go,
okay,
she's going to need that time to.
Felonies could take up to years to actually prosecute. It's not something that just takes 2 weeks.
And especially with this COVID thing, it's probably going to even take a little longer.
So they had her lose a gimmick match. This way she can be accessible to the sheriff's office. I believe with Mandy Rose being a character witness and not the victim. I mean, she was a victim because she was at the house where the intrusion happened, and he said he was going to kill her. So in some point or in some aspect, she is a victim. However, she's not going to be in as much demand with the sheriff's office as Sonya is. So I believe if they're just going to travel to do the pay-per-views, she will still be pretty accessible for what they need.
Yeah, I think that they're gonna probably like just like any court case, they say, "Hey, we're probably gonna need you to testify on this day, and it's gonna be on, let's say, March 15th." So then she'll schedule her day off or a week off to go to, Florida for during that time. So I guess she's more flexible. Than They'll probably be able to work on her schedule.
But also, I think she'd need the time just to sort of recover from this. Like, as I mentioned, this would fuck people mentally. Like, I can't. Sorry,
that was another reason why they had wrote her off TV. I'm just reading it right here. It says that Sonya Deville was written off TV in order to receive the counseling she may or may not need, and any help or advisement that may help her get over this situation as it occurs. We wish Sonya Deville a speedy recovery and hope that she gets the justice she deserves. So yeah, this time off isn't just for court, but this is like Piers was saying, this is a traumatic experience for anybody. So they really want her to have the chance to get all the help she needs. The last thing you want is a former MMA fighter waking up in the middle of the night, reliving this and taking it out on the room service guy.
See, but the thing is, I think, like I said before, that she didn't take it serious, even though what he said on the text message, I bet you it escalated when she realized it was getting to that point. Because again, why? I mean, I would have been like, as soon as I saw somebody on my porch saying like, "Hey," well, before on my porch, sending me a text saying, "Hey, sweetheart, I'm here and I'm going to kill the bitch next to you." And I would have went out there and he's standing there like, "Hey, baby, how you doing?" I would have kicked him in the chest like 300. Get off my porch.
Not even. If somebody sent me a text and said, or a message on social media and said, "Hey, I'm on your porch and I'm going to kill that bitch that's with you," I'm going to answer the door with about 3 of my best friends sitting in that gun safe behind me.
Yeah, because, but you have that. But you
both
have
Georgia
that.
and both Georgia. Exactly. Florida's a stand your ground state.
I know, but I bet you, like I said,
she ain't strapped. She wasn't strapped.
If you have the right. If you have your right to carry a firearm, meaning you are not a convicted felon, you should have one. And this is exactly why.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I bet you she was like,
even
I
if
don't
you
need
never
that.
use it.
She's like, she probably says, "I got these." I mean, whatever her reason is, maybe she's against guns, whatever. You need something in your residence to protect yourself because you do not know what this person's intention, regardless. And if he made that,
I don't care how tough you are.
Yeah,
Angel, former police officer, current police officer. I was head of security at a bar. Piers, you were a former head of security. You've been in safety and risk management for a very long time.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you are. It doesn't matter if you're 6'5" like me or 3'4" like Piers. There's always somebody bigger, badder, and has a lot more weapons, quote unquote, at their disposal.
Because if I had like a person like Pierce coming on my porch yelling at me, "I need me gold, I need me gold," then I would have.
Just wear your shin guards.
Let me say this, right? So she said that she went and I think she did take it seriously when he was on the porch. She went and woke up Mandy Rose and said, "Hey, look, we got to fucking hit the fucking road.
We got to go." Turned your back to a man who has a knife, and you left your door open.
But regardless, man or woman,
maybe she didn't see the knife. Maybe she was just in a panic. She was in like in a state of shock. But let me ask you this: could he be charged with attempt murder?
No, because he hasn't done it.
But he had no. Let me finish. He hasn't touched it, but he's turned up. He's made a threat to kill. He has a knife. He has zip ties, and he has mace. He has intent. Could that be intent to kill?
He didn't attempt the act.
Yeah.
If you have a very good prosecutor, the argument can be made, and juries can be swayed anyway. A courtroom is basically a chess match of words. It's what attorney can make their argument stick, or force people to believe that it can stick. So I can see where you're coming from. It was definitely premeditated. Yeah. He had the weapons with him, and he said, "I'm going to kill her." So the intent is there. But you need something showing that physical act. The more I talk about this, the more I think to myself, he can be. But I just want to go back to one
But before you go, Kev, before you say something, it's all about articulation and it's all about the presentation when you do to the court, to the jury. So if she has a great attorney and she has somebody representing her correctly, then if he articulates it and just shows, from point A to point B and just breaks it down, and the jury's gonna be like, yeah, regardless if they can't even. I mean, if he could just put it in the right words and just flow with it, the jury will definitely hit him with attempted murder or
absolutely
stuff like that. But Kevin, I'm sorry, go ahead. You were going to say
just one thing that really irks me, and the one thing I can't get over. All Sonya Deville is a former mixed martial arts fighter. All three of us have some kind of combative level training. What is the first rule in a fight? You close the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Always. You close the distance and you stand a better chance. She did the exact opposite, which I get it. Constant state of panic. She doesn't know this guy's level of training, whatever the case may be. But I just.
And you never give your back.
Yeah, like I've got a house in my house right now. I've got 4 children and my wife. I could never see turning my back to a threat like that. I'll probably stand at the door staring at him the whole time, screaming as loud as I can, trying to wake Ashley up to get the kids and freaking leave, or bring me one of my pistols if I don't have one. But then again, if somebody sent me a message prior and said, I'm at your door, I'm not going empty-handed.
Well, it's the same thing. Like when I used to do car stops, man, you never, after you, hey, can't get your license, and then you walk backwards because you don't turn your back on the guy because you didn't know his or her intention. So you walk backwards, and when you get to your car, boom, you get inside. You never turn your back because you don't know what's going to happen. So again, I don't know what was on her mind. Maybe she didn't take him serious again. Maybe it was a state of panic. Because again, I never saw the footage. So
thankfully he didn't try to charge her and use the knife on her. So thankfully she's okay. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that this is Sonya's fault or anything like that. No. I'm very happy that she's okay. I'm very happy that the guy didn't try to charge her. But what I'm saying, the only thing I'm saying, and I know you guys understand this, but I just want to say this for our viewers. By no means am I saying this is her fault. What I am saying is I am very glad that when she turned her back, he did not take advantage of that situation.
Well, I mean, this is a lesson learned.
He very well could have.
And this is a lesson learned for her as well. I mean, it's a bad experience, but I bet you now she's definitely going to take more severe action to protect her residents. Like I said, better security. I'm not saying the security system sucks, but definitely kick it up a notch. Get a gun in the house. Hopefully, if she's against guns, I understand. Or get guard dogs. I mean, invest in your residence. Make sure that it's protected and it's a fortress so nobody can get in, especially if you're a celebrity and you're in the limelight all the time.
But in Australia, we don't have that much.
What, celebrities?
No, we have celebrities here, but we don't have home invasions and people breaking the houses. That shit's rare. Breaking the houses is probably one thing, but never.
Now he's fucking jinxing Australia. Now next week somebody's be like, "Hey mate, somebody walked in my house trying to stab me." So don't put that out there, bro.
Definitely not. But
Chris Hemsworth is in trouble.
Well, I'm just saying, we don't have as I said, Australia, we have very strict gun laws here, where not everyone, a majority of the Australian population don't have guns. But
you have knives. Just take your boomerang.
But that's the thing. Hearing from but to me, it sounds like a bit of a culture difference as well. Comparing apples for apples. I could see that you could need to have a gun in the United States.
Well, question. In Australia, I mean, you can at least have a knife. That's not a knife.
No, you can have a gun, but the laws around firearms in Australia
are hard.
If you have a firearms license, you can have anyone turn up to your house at any time of the day or night, knock on your door and say, "Show me your safe." And you'd have to go. You have to have the pistol or firearm in one safe.
That's hard.
You could have the clip, but it has to be empty. And the magazine or whatever it is. Your bullets must be kept in a different location, in a different secure area.
Quick question, and I'm not knocking Australia. So in my residence, if I'm in Australia and they knock on my door, I have to have all that separate in my residence. That's what you're saying. So if I have a home invasion, I have to run to my safe, get my gun, run to the other side of the house, get my magazine, and then find another spot where my bullets are, load my magazine up, I mean, you know, I'm just trying to see, like, why would you have it separate?
No, because that's the thing. That gun is not for home protection. That gun is for going down to a shooting range.
Then,
you could not pull that gun on.
Well,
someone.
I'm not knocking it. It's just.
No,
like,
no. I'm just saying what
house.
this is. Yeah, you can't use it for a thing.
So if somebody came in my house, kicked my door in, and threatened my family, I have to have those items separate to put it together. And even if I shot them, I will get in trouble because I put it together.
Booyah! Not that you would get in trouble, but you would probably be convicted for assault with a weapon.
Kevin, just curiosity. I mean, I want to pick your brain on what do you think of that type of how I'm kind of a little bit like speechless on how that works. I understand. It just throws me off.
I wish I was using a mobile camera so I can turn this thing around. There's literally a rifle leaning up against my wall right there. There are 2 pistols next to my bed right there, and there is another pistol right there, not to mention all the guns in that gun safe in the corner right there. I think that is absolutely asinine. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you live. I don't care what your laws are. If you said you cannot pull that gun for any reason aside to go to a shooting range, I don't care who you are. I don't care what your social status is. I don't care if you're the mayor, the sheriff, the prime minister. I don't care. If somebody breaks into your house, and let's just say they're a criminal because they're breaking into your house. If they're a criminal, they clearly don't care about the laws. Let's say they have a gun. You are the father of 2. Your children are in the house. Even if you're not allowed to pull that gun, you're gonna pull that gun. This is why self-defense is, if can be proven, is a get-out-of-jail-free card. And I hate to use that term. What I mean is you are allowed to defend yourself. You have a divine right to protect yourself, your significant other, and the life of your children. So for you to sit there and tell me if somebody is breaking into my house and they are an imminent threat to my life, my wife's life, or my children's life, I don't give a shit if I'm spending the rest of my life in prison. One of us ain't coming out alive, and it's not gonna be me. It's like I've said this a million times. If you want to try to break into my house, if you want to try and do harm to my family, somebody else will raise your children. I promise you.
Okay, so quick question, Pierce. You're just teaching me. So let's just go with this. So if somebody came in my house, and let's say killed a relative or family member.
Why did you say my house twice?
Because I'm like Jimmy 2 times from Goodfellas, 2 times. But
5 times.
But okay, so
hard time.
Bottom line is this: if I shot somebody and knowing that somebody got hurt and stuff like that, and the guy's dead, they would definitely hook me and book me for killing this individual. Now, what is the possibilities of me being charged? Is it they'd be like, well,
Well, you'd have to be charged to be arrested. What are the chances of you being convicted?
Convicted. I'm sorry. So convicted.
It would depend. It would depend on the attorneys and the solicitors involved. But the thing is, like, say for example, if you're a security guard which is paid to carry a firearm in Australia, you are working in locations which are a high terror threat or a high threat to certain members of the public, whether it be certain communities, etc. So in that situation, if someone was to pull up on like a certain area which has armed security there for high risk security reasons and was to open fire, then those security officers can return fire for fire. And you know what I mean? Like that is the reason why they are strapped. And it's the same with police. But if a police officer draws his gun in Australia, there is a massive report that goes into drawing your gun. If you discharge a bullet, it's the same thing. The firearm goes into investigation. I'm not sure if that's the same thing.
They take a gun.
Do you know what happens in America? And Angel, you can attest to this. If somebody breaks into your house and you shoot them, you know what happens in America when the cops show up? They look at the body, they look at you, and they're like, hey, man, you might want to tighten up your grouping.
Yeah. Now, and the only reason I ask is because in one time, and it was a different case, and I think Kevin, you probably remember, there was this guy. he was looking for his kid. I don't know if it was male or female, and he found his son or daughter with a chomo or pedophile doing something to his daughter, and the guy just killed the guy, beat the brakes off him, and killed him. You remember that time, Kev? And he killed him. So they charged him for killing the guy, but then America was like, bullshit. You know, he was protecting his kid, and the courts were like, man, we can't charge this because he was saving his kid, even though he killed the guy and he was a known pedophile.
You have a divine right to protect your children.
Yeah.
Guys, so you know what divine means? It means God-given. It means no man can take it away, whether you regardless of your faith.
Yeah.
I don't care. Divine right means given by a higher power other than man. It is a right that is instilled in you because when my son was born, I looked at my son and I thought to myself, we've all said it to our friends. We've said it to our family. I'd take a bullet for you, man. I'd give my life for yours. Until you have children, you do not understand what the meaning of that phrase truly is. And I know we're getting a little off topic.
Yeah, that's what I was going.
But what I'm saying is, if
what do you go ahead, Pierce?
So the thing is, getting into like the Sonya Deville story and obviously everything that she went through, it's absolutely just it's scary as hell. Like, and as I mentioned, like in Australia, we have different gun laws, obviously, but for example, if she had a firearm, you've said, and basically she had shot and killed this guy, and he had what he had on him, would she be charged because obviously he had another weapon, but it was a different weapon, or would it be put down as self-defense?
No, it's still self-defense.
Here's what would separate it. And Angel, please correct me if I'm wrong. If she were to openly just bang, pow, shoot him instantly, whether he had the weapons or not, she would not be charged. For the simple fact, I mean, there'd probably be a very lengthy investigation, but she had the messages saying, I am here, I am at your house, I'm going to kill her. Right there. That's it.
Those words.
She had reason to believe her life was in danger. Now, let's say he didn't send those messages. She shoots him anyway. The police get there, they recover the weapons, they recover everything he had on him.
Then you have intent, and then she still had a right to shoot him because it's still not charged.
If she just killed him and he had no weapons or anything, she would probably be charged, and she would have to be able to prove why she did it. But the circumstances as they are right now, if she would have shot him, the officers would have showed up and be like, hey, that's a pretty good shot.
Now, like you said, you kind of broke up at one point. Now, if he showed up on the porch and he didn't say those comments, but they did find the mace, the handcuffs, the duct tape, and the plastic zip ties, then she
still would not be charged.
Yeah, there would be an extensive investigation, but still she would have been investigation.
But they would have been able to prove some kind of intent or something that made her believe her life was in danger. A knife, zip ties, duct tape, mace. She would be able to prove that her life was in danger. The only way she would be in some kind of hot water and really have to defend herself is without the messages and without the weapons. Yes, somebody's on her property, and yes, Florida is a stand your ground state, meaning she is allowed to defend her home. But she would have to prove some kind of forced entry. She would have to prove some kind of danger, which I believe he cut the screen on her patio, so there would be signs of forced entry. All the way around, man. She would, if she would have shot him, no matter how this plays out, she'd have been found not guilty. The second, even without the messages, and I'll wrap up after this because I'm sorry for cutting you off, Angel, but
no, you're fine.
Even without the messages, and he had no weapons on him, the second he cut that screen, the second he broke into that house, Florida law says she is allowed to stand her ground at any cost.
The only way that it would cause some type of like, oh man, dude, how can I put this in my report? If he walked away and she shot him in the back, I mean, that's the only way they could be like, dude, how can I justify this? You know, how can I put it in on paper to say this was a legit shoot? So, I mean, that's the only way she could get in trouble. If he walked away and said, fuck this, and shoot him in the back, even on the property, it's kind of line.
The only thing I would add to that, Angel, is if he was off of the property. if he would have been walking away, the argument can be made he was going to find another entry point.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. You know,
no, I do.
Like articulation.
You would really have to be able to articulate that.
Yeah, you'd be like, man, how am I going to put this in words? How am I going to justify this?
But the thing is, he was arrested on suspicion of aggravated stalking, armed burglary, attempted armed kidnapping, and criminal mischief. Now, what does criminal mischief mean? What would be considered as criminal mischief?
It's the act. It's basically mischief is a abbreviation of the word mischievous, meaning sketchy shit. So going to her house, walking around the house, scoping it out, finding an entry point. Basically everything he did from the time he got into Florida, where Florida law applies, to the point where he cut the screen on the window is mischief.
So the act is called the act or offense of intentionally damaging or destroying another's property as from feeling of ill will compared to vandalism. It's a form of vandalism.
So and that's why I said until he cut the screen, because it is the intent to, like Angel said, damage property. So he intends to do it. Once he did it, it's a whole nother crime. So even if he wouldn't have cut that screen, even if he wouldn't have entered her home, he was still guilty of criminal mischief because he intended to do it for these purposes. As soon as he cut the screen, that's when you have a burglary, or not burglary, but
criminal mischief,
criminal trespass,
breaking and entering. Burglary is something completely different.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to know, and I couldn't seem to find it. I'm not sure if you guys could. No, but it
would be. I'm sorry. This is really wrecking my brain right now. I'm sorry. So burglary in Georgia is entering a dwelling. A dwelling is a place where you live, a place where you sleep. So it's not like a bank or a stadium, but it's a home.
Residents or non-residents.
Entering a dwelling with the intent to commit a crime. So that's exactly what he did.
Now, and again, if in regards, it'd probably be like probably 2 counts of, because since Mandy Rose was there, it's like 2 counts of whatever they're trying to charge him with.
Everything that applies to Sonya, with the exception of the damage done to the house, unless Mandy Rose lives there, everything done to Sonya can be applied to Mandy Rose. As far as Georgia law goes, I'm not a police officer in Florida. I can't speak for Florida law. However, in Georgia, especially when he said, "I'm going to kill that bitch that's with you," every crime done to Sonya Deville, Mandy is also a victim of.
So if not more,
because he said he wanted to kill her, but he wanted to kidnap Sonya. So, like Piers was saying at the beginning of the episode, if you have a good enough lawyer and you can articulate it, he absolutely can be charged with attempted murder, because he had the weapons to do so. He clearly stated his intent, and he showed that he was going to go through with it. Thank God he didn't. Luckily, both women are okay. But yes, every crime that was done to Sonya, with the exception of the crimes against her property, could be transferred on to Mandy Rose.
Yeah, and Pierce, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not bashing on Australia's laws. I was just trying to understand how it works out there. Because like England, like supposedly the cops can't even walk around with guns.
Yeah, the guns that they don't. I think now that some of them might, but yeah, like for a long time in the UK history, that the English police force didn't have firearms.
Yeah, and I'd be like, "Are you crazy?" You know what I mean? So that's why I'm always like, "How's that work? How because you're schooling me how the laws work in Australia, and it kind of helps out to the people in America to understand, like, if Mandy Rose and Deville was in Australia and this happened, how would that play out in Australia if she did kill him or shoot him on our porch?
Well, I'm going to tell you this: like most, I think 26-year-old women in Australia had probably never even touched a gun in their life. Like I would probably say 95.8%, 99.9% had probably never even touched a gun.
Now, anybody that owns like a jewelry store or anything that has a reason to carry a gun, then you're able to have a carry conceal in Australia if you have a business, if you're transporting money or you're transporting valuable goods like diamonds.
You have to have someone who is employed to be legally carry a firearm. In Australia, the only people that can carry a firearm are police, Australian Federal Police, and also security personnel that are required to carry a firearm. However, if they have that license that they are required to carry a firearm for a police officer and also a security officer, they are only allowed to carry said firearm while they are on duty. And dude, even then they have restrictions on where they can go in and out of the place that they are securing. And Kevin, even like you see, like cash in transit, that sort of stuff, those guys are carrying firearms for obviously due reasons. But it's like I said,
I just got to see the paperwork.
If they weren't working, they can't carry their own. The firearm they carry at work must be issued to them by the employer or the governing body hiring.
That is some paperwork.
Here's how different we are. It is actually Georgia law that if you're a certified peace officer, you must carry your gun and badge wherever you go. That way, in case some shit pops off, you can easily identify yourself as a police officer and help end the situation.
You know, it's funny here in Kansas. You know, when it first started, you were able to have a carry and conceal. I have a carry and conceal license, but then they passed a law like, no, you don't have to have a carry and conceal. If you want it, you can have it. I just keep it and keep renewing it every 2-4 years.
Open carry state, I love it.
It's an open carry state. You can walk around with fucking bandoleros all over you.
But see, that's the thing here. If you have a firearm license in Australia, like bro, like you can't just walk down the street fucking. You know what I mean? You can't have it concealed on you. You can't have nothing, man.
It's different.
And even when you're traveling, you must have it concealed, like not even on you. It must be put in something when you're taking to the range. There are so many laws around it, but getting back to the.
No, before you go, Pierce, I would love to have you Kevin. This is what I would love to have Pierce do. I would love to have him and say, Pierce, come here, put this gun on, put this vest on. Here's my AR. Now go to the gas station, pick me up some Fritos, and you can walk and get some Fritos and be like, how did it feel, brother? How did it feel to walk with this freedom?
I'll be like, I got free chips, and they even gave me a free Slurpee.
Nah, they won't even blink. They'll be like, hey, it's $4 or whatever, and you just walk out. That's open carry.
That shit would just be like, that would spin me the fuck out on a whole nother level. But let's get back to the story at hand, guys. So this guy, he's been picked up by police. The response time was phenomenal. They got him in the house. They caught him in the act, red-handed. You know, thankfully, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose had been able to flee the scene before anything could have occurred. But, you know, what's next? Like these poor women have just gone through this. They've had this match at SummerSlam where loser leaves WWE, and Sonya's taken some time off. But, you know, my thing is as well, you know, should Mandy also be looking at getting some time off for this, because that's quite a traumatic experience.
Well, I mean, they probably. Yeah, I mean, we did talk about it a little bit in regards to her going to court. I think they probably offered her counseling. I bet you she's getting a little bit of a lesser. I mean, she's
probably not going to be doing live events.
Yeah,
there are none
anyway. So I think it really comes down to Mandy. If Mandy says, "Hey, I need some time off," I think they'd be more than willing to grant her that. But if she is going at them and saying, "Hey, I'm good. Let's keep going. I'm okay," then it's really at her discretion. As far as Sonya goes, I've dealt with victims in the past. I'm sure I'll deal with more victims in the future. What I would suggest to her is, like we said in other episodes, if you feel you need help, don't be afraid to ask for it. Go stay with her mother, go stay with her father, whatever the case may be. Surround yourself with loved ones, because that's really going to help you put this behind you. There's a lot of therapy in being with your family and being with what truly matters. The last thing that I think she needs to do is alienate herself right now and feel like she's all alone, and that's just going to make the grieving process and the recovery last even longer. So I would highly suggest that she gets the help she needs, whatever capacity that may be, and really focus on, you know, being with her family, maybe going staying with her mother, her sister, whatever the case may be, and trying her best to put this behind her.
Hey, I was just looking at something here, and I've seen the way they charged him. Aggravated stalking, 3rd-degree felony, armed burglary of dwelling felony, punishable by life, armed kidnapping, ransom, or reward of hostage. I never heard.
Angel, if you want to, go ahead and read each charge out, and I'll go and break it down and explain what that means.
Aggravated stalking, third degree. Go.
So the reason that's aggravated stalking is because he showed a path of keeping in contact with her, actually making the attempt to go to her house, and the reason it is aggravated is because he did have weapons on him.
Okay.
But what about what is it? Sorry to interrupt. What about third degree? Like what? How many degrees are there?
There's only,
I believe 3.
yeah,
I know in Georgia there's 3, but it could go up to the 5th degree. And basically what it is the first degree is the most severe.
yeah.
And the more you get away from that, it becomes second degree, third degree, this, that, and the third. So the reason it would be third degree is because the stalking happened online. He was not following her in person. He was not tailing her car. He was not sitting outside of her house for 8 years. The stalking happened online. When your social media profiles are public, it makes it very hard to make it a first or third degree case because anybody can see it. So because the stalking happened online, that's what makes it third degree as opposed to first degree.
Okay. Armed burglary of a dwelling, felony, punishable by life.
So a dwelling, like I said, a dwelling is anywhere that you lay your head. It is where you call your home. You have a dwelling, and then anything like the mall, that's not a dwelling. Walmart, that's not a dwelling. Your house, a houseboat, an RV, a camper, all that would be a dwelling because that is where you live. The crimes when you do a crime against somebody's dwelling, their home, it is a lot more severe than if you did it to a business. If you broke into a gas station and tried to steal the money, that you wouldn't be punishable by life because that's not a dwelling. That's just armed burglary. So a dwelling means a house or wherever you live, and it is armed burglary once again because he had the weapons on him. There was forced entry, and burglary, like I said earlier, is entering a dwelling with the intent to commit a crime. He intended to kidnap Sonya and kill Mandy Rose. That is why it is a burglary punishable by life.
And is life 25 years or is life like life of the human being?
Unless they give him like 10 to 10 to life, for 25 to life, it just depends. But it's saying life. So they're still trying to, not figuring out, but it's
because a life sentence is 25 years.
In Australia.
Mm. Like a life sentence is 25 years. So people can be charged for like 5 life sentences.
Oh yeah, you could do that.
Yeah.
The next one is armed kidnapping, ransom, or reward or hostage, felony, life.
So hers would be hostage because he planned to take her, and pretty much he thought they were in a, he was convinced that every time Sonya winks at the camera or says hello to the camera, she was directly talking to him. This is a mental disease at its finest. It is, and I hope he also gets the help he needs if he ever does get out of prison, so he doesn't do this again. But the kidnapping is because he said that he was going to take her. He had the tools to do so, and this is a very big misconception.
Yeah,
it's just crazy. Like we're going through the list of and
it's when you move. The biggest difference between kidnapping and false imprisonment is when you move the person. He intended to take her with him. If he just wanted to keep her in the house, it'd be false imprisonment. False imprisonment is restriction of movement. Kidnapping is restriction of movement while moving the person. So the zip ties restrict your movement. Then he was going to take her. So it's restriction of her movement, and then he took her. That's kidnapping.
And then the last is criminal mischief, less than 200, second-degree misdemeanor, which is probably just fluff.
We already covered this.
Yeah.
It's everything he did from the time he entered the state of Florida, because that's where the law applies. So when he was sending the messages from South Carolina, yes, it does go toward the stalking, but the mischief part alone is from the time he crossed the border from Georgia into Florida until he cut the screen on the porch or on the patio, because once he cut the screen, it became burglary. So everything he did from the time he entered Florida to the time he cut that screen was the criminal mischief.
Yeah.
That's some crazy ass shit, dude. Fuck, man. Like this, like to imagine going through, like I keep on going back to imagine how you would feel going through that particular fucking experience, man. Like, dude, no wonder she's taking some time off, dude. I'm surprised Mandy isn't off.
This was going on for 8 years. So I believe they said it was 8 years, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this was going on for 8 years. Imagine, if you will, from this day on, back 8 years to the day, everything you've done, all the time you've spent with your family, all the time you've been on vacation, all the time you've been at work, there's somebody out there planning to kidnap you. That's insane.
It's ridiculous, man. It's fucking terrifying, bro. And I can't even imagine what that would feel like.
Hell, I was only in the military for 6 years. Okay, I haven't done anything for 8 years in my life, and this man devoted 8 years to stalking her. I haven't done one single thing for 8 years aside from breathing and sleeping.
Yeah, I hear you. No, I was just reading this article because it says Sonya Deville receives additional threats from unknown individual amid stalking case, and then she's trying to. It says here that she's trying to see that she has filed on August 24th. A motion was filed to have evidence sealed, including photographs, and establish her street address and characteristics of her residence, as well as messages that identify her and her family. And then here it says that.
That's probably because, Angel, as you know, as soon as something gets logged into a police report, it becomes public record.
Yeah.
So if there are people still stalking her, maybe they don't have her address yet, but once they put this in the police report, they can easily find it online and find her address.
Is there any way that they can hide that?
Yeah, they said they could do that. But it says here that Deville and her ex-girlfriend, Miss Johnson, both qualify as victims or witnesses at risk of harm. Johnson has already been threatened by Thomas for her association with Deville. The court granted the motion as Deville has been receiving additional threats from unknown individuals. The threatening messages include, I'll finish the job that Phil started, and my knife is sharper than Philip's.
Fucking hell.
So basically what the court agreed to do is that first off, they need to get with whatever state that person lives in and coordinate with their local law enforcement. But basically what the court agreed to do is, like I said, as soon as you put something on a police report, it's public record. Anybody can go and find it. Like, it doesn't matter who the person is, doesn't matter their social stature, doesn't matter their celebrity, whatever. It is now public record. So what Sonya did was she proved to them that there are still active threats. I don't want my information being public record. So basically when somebody requests, anybody can request this police report, but what's going to happen is all of Sonya's personal information is going to have a big black box in front of it. You're not going to be able to see it unless you are that body of law enforcement, the court, whatever the case may be, but it will not be public record.
Yeah. So she's getting some more threats from other batshit crazy, individuals, copycats or whatever.
Dude, but that's like, fuck, man. Like, her mental state must be fucking like, dude,
she's gonna be
like, your nerves would be so you'd be extremely paranoid anywhere you went.
I strongly suggest, if anybody is watching this and you see Sonya Deville in public, do not walk up to her and ask for a picture and autograph. She's probably gonna break your arm before you get 2 words out of your mouth.
Yeah, just respect her time and her distance.
Give her the respect.
Yeah, that's crazy. Interesting. We got to keep continuing with this case, see how it unfolds, and see what happens with this individual in regards to his sentence. It's going to be a while, so we will do a part 2 in regards to maybe a part 3 or part 4.
Hopefully, we won't be adding any more suspects into this, because nobody should have to deal with this in their lifetime. Everybody should be able to, the pursuit of happiness is a constitutional right. Everybody should be able to do that uninterrupted. And just, I truly hope that this is the last time Sonya or anybody has to deal with something like this. But the fact of the matter is, this happens every day. Doesn't make it right, but I hope Sonya gets all the help she needs. I hope she really takes advantage of this time off and spends time with her family. Angel, as you know, being a professional wrestler and being on the road, you don't really get that much time. So I hope she takes advantage of it while she has it. That's my closing statements on this, guys. If you want to give yours, and then I'll wrap us up.
Go ahead, Pierce.
Look, my closing thoughts on it, as Kevin said, and I'm just going to reiterate that to any fans out there that see Sonya. I know that everyone's wearing a mask, and you probably wouldn't recognize most people walking down the street. But I think obviously give her a space, give her a time, let her really recover from this. She definitely seems like a strong-willed individual. A very strong in mind, strong in heart, and physically strong as well. And I think she'll definitely bounce back from this. I think she needs to take the time to really recoup. I hope it doesn't take years before we see her back in a wrestling ring, because I do think she is probably one of the most underrated female performers in WWE. And I think they could do a lot with her. For Mandy, I hope she's not rushing back into being on camera and trying to hide her trauma or trying to mask it. I think that the best way for her is to get as much, and for both of them, is to get as much counseling as they require, as they need, to really establish themselves, not establish themselves, but to really recover from what this incident was, because it is a very traumatic thing. It's a very frightening thing. And as I've mentioned multiple times on this episode, it's living a human horror story, and it's terrifying and frightening. I've got goosebumps just talking about this tonight, guys. That's my final statement. Angel?
Well, my final statement is that, with social media and stuff out there, you're putting more of yourself out there. Back in the 90s, it was different. They had the sheets, magazines and stuff like that. So you were in the public eye, but not as grand as it is now. And, I'm not knocking Mandy Rose or anybody, but like I said, once you put yourself out there, like in TikTok and all that stuff, because I've seen some videos she's putting, shaking a moneymaker and stuff like that, which again, she has all the rights to, but the more you put yourself out there and expose yourself to other individuals who are not mentally there, it puts you more in danger. And I'm not saying don't do it, but just be aware that the more you do out there, the more you're in the public eye, and that's also dangerous as well. And again, I'm not saying don't do it. It's just keep that in the back of your head. So protect yourself, because you never know who's out there that's just watching your videos and have ill will to do harm.
It's crazy, man.
Absolutely, guys. And so this has been our episode covering Sonya Deville, and I cannot reiterate this enough, guys. I understand that Sonya Deville is a celebrity, but you guys also have to understand that somebody's daughter, somebody's sister, somebody's loved one. Respect her space, and if she's at an autograph signing, fine. But if you see her in the public, just understand that this is something she's going to need time to recover. So I hope everybody watching will respect that. If you do happen to see her in public, everybody wants to get that picture, everybody wants to get that autograph, but in this time there are more important things, and I truly hope that everybody can understand and respect that, and just give her the space she needs to really put this behind her and come back a stronger person than she's ever been. With that being said, guys, we will be back next week with another amazing episode for you. A huge shout out to our 3 amazing sponsors, the band Cicadas, for our amazing entry music. I can't thank you enough. I know Piers is normally the one that says it, but I just want to take a chance to thank you guys. You don't know how much you've helped us out with that. Thank you to A-Rock Designs for always supporting the show, making it happen every week. And thank you to our new sponsor, WASF Championship Belts.
What's that?
With that being said, guys, we're going to get out of here, and we'll be back next week with a brand new episode for you guys.
Stay away from him.
Because